swing by teaching you 5 patterns you need to know. What's up, gang? It's Brian B.
And Miss Megan.
And in this video, we are going to cover 5 patterns you need to know to dance West Coast swing. Now, in a previous video, we've covered our core 3 patterns. That's our sugar push, our passes, and our whips. You can find that linked up below here. 5 patterns that we're going to cover today. We're going to cover them in 2 different ways. One from the prospect of a new dancer trying to learn how to dance West Coast swing, and the other one is from an existing dancer who might know these patterns but is trying to up their game. The 5 patterns are an inside turn, a sugar tuck, an outside turn, a reverse whip, and a rock and go. So we're going to go in detail with these. We're going to quickly go over the footwork, leaders and followers, and then we're going to go in some details. So if we move a little fast for you, I apologize. Use the slow motion button and rewind. So real quick overview in terms of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover what we call an inside turn or an inside roll. We're going to cover a sugar tuck. We're going to cover an outside roll. We're going to cover a reverse whip. And then we're going to cover something called a rock and go. And so those patterns alone, beyond your core patterns, I think are, a couple of them are often missed. In your beginner classes, you're definitely going to see the inside turn and the sugar tuck. You're likely not to see the outside roll or the reverse whip or the rock and go in a beginner class. So those are some patterns that I think are very functional. Any thoughts on these patterns in general?
Yes, this is exactly what I teach after the first basic pattern.
Bingo! Because we've been dancing a long time together. So let's cover the inside turn. This is based off of left side pass. So if you don't know a left side pass, go ahead and find our video on a left side pass. We'll cover the footwork, but this would be a left side pass, right? And then we add an inside roll or a turn for the follower. We have what's called the inside turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So I'm not going to cover the leader's footwork, but Miss Megan will cover the follower's footwork. Because leaders, it's basic left side pass for you. I'll talk about the lead, but Miss Megan will talk about the footwork.
All right, so followers, we still have our 2 walks forward. They are going to be a little bit more prominent with each walk. So walk, walk. What I mean by prominent is you're going to be a little bit more over each foot, okay? So we're going to go walk, walk, and now we're going to turn with 3 steps. We have triple step and then anchor step. Let's do that again. We have walk, walk, turn, 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 and anchor step. I'm going to do it from this side. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6.
So there's a lot of grounds to cover. And again, if you're coming from you've been a more intermediate dancer and you know this pattern cold, there's some things that we can really learn about it. But let's cover the basics first. So we have to what we call prep or prepare the follower for the turn. So a prep would be 1, 2. I've prepped by allowing Megan to go forward on her left foot, right? Again, let's cover this overview. We'll go back and add the details. 1, we prep. 2. Then we curl this around her head and back down. So leaders, it's coming inside of our heads, around and back down. That's happening on the 3 and 4. 3 and 4, and then bless West Coast swing. It always ends with an anchor step. Let's do it one more time this side, and then we'll talk. 1, prep, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So let's cover this. You've sometimes been taught to prep both steps, right? That prepping both steps would look like this. 1, 2, right? Where I move the hand as the leader slightly in, slightly away. Now, here's the thing. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's preferable in some situations. But the key is that I prep or prepare the follower on the second step. So the first step, she doesn't need a prep. She needs the prep on the second step. And by prep, I'm setting this hand out slightly away from me, right? Not a lot so that Megan runs out of space. And she followed that correctly. That would be confusing for the follower. But also, I want to do enough that she's prepped. So with good connection here through the elbows, through the fingers, I want to walk 1 and prep her away on 2. We've got connection through this. It's wound tight. So she's now forward on the left foot and able to fire off the turn. So can you quickly cover like what you think about for the turn for the follower?
Yeah, so can I borrow you? If we have 1, 2, if I'm not prepped and I'm flat, going through this turn is going to be a little bit more difficult, and you're probably going to end up being a little off balance. So make sure that you're getting 1, 2, and that your right side is back, like you'd be throwing a baseball. All right. From here, I'm going with the leader's initiation for this, and I'm turning right around and trying to just continue around as I start that.
Good deal. So we also talked about the prep. Do we need to prep both sides? And here's my general rule. As you get better, you only need the second prep. So if you watch us dance this the way we would, you probably don't see the first prep. You hardly see the second because we're good and very well connected. However, you'll find me a lot of times in social dancing adding both preps because it ends up being a good clue. So I don't think it's wrong, right? You don't want too big of a prep because that means you're not connected at all, but it is not horrible to add one prep and a second prep to kind of clue your follower in that the turn's happening. Cool? Followers, if you guys are struggling with turns, we've got some cool resources. Just type in West Coast Swing, spins and turns, West Coast Swing online in Google or YouTube. We've got some great stuff to help you out there. Next pattern in things that I think we need to know is the sugar tuck. So again, core basic is a sugar push or a push break. You can find that in one of our other videos or in the description below. A sugar tuck is where I tuck my partner away. So again, I'm not going to cover leader's footwork because the footwork is sugar push footwork. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So let's have Megan cover the follower's footwork, and then I'll show you why I include this in a pattern you need to know, because there's something that people do wrong in this that I want to teach you today.
All right, so followers, we are going back to having 2 walks forward, or really we have that the whole time in this video. So walk, walk. You're still going to go together, together. Instead of going straight back for your sugar push, we are going to go away. And then we're going to anchor around in a half circle for triple step. So if we did that again, we have forward, forward, together, together, away, and triple around. One more time with counts. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6.
So there's 2 things that I think we kind of do wrong in general. So if you're a more intermediate dancer, these are some tips for you. And if you're a beginner, these are things that even we struggle to cover in our regular live group classes because we're so concerned with footwork and getting moving with everything. But lead-wise, right, this is going to come up to what we call a medium 5, right? That's the part where you've probably been taught. 1, 2, 3, and then it goes around her head for 4, 5, and 6. But I want you to be aware of this. There's a little bit of a rotation or a tucking position. So leaders, not only am I raising the hand up, I'm allowing my follower in a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then when I send the hand away, it has a little bit of a curve to it. So it should, if I make it big and exaggerated, 1, 2, I tuck in this way and then send it back around her head and anchor steps. That's tip number 1. 1, 2, 3, and I send this away for 4. We anchor 5 and 6. Let's do it the other way. Maybe you can get a different view at it. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Again, the reason why I include this is because this adds a lot of cool styling options where we can really add some styling to that tuck. Now, second thing that I think people do wrong is we ignore count 4. So count 4 is a full beat, it's one whole step, and it should be a little moment in time. So count 4, we're going to freeze on it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This moment in time, we still should have connection in the fingers. So Megan isn't finishing this turn and going ahead of me. She's pausing for just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I can use this connection to bring her around the corner together. Again, why is this important? Because later on, when we get to pattern 5 in this video, we have what's called a rock and go. And with that connection, I can lead the rock and go and get to some more advanced patterns. So that is your sugar tuck with a couple of different things you can think of. Any final thoughts on a sugar tuck?
Yes, followers, do not go to 4 on your own.
Ooh, what do you mean by that, real quick?
So 1, 2, 3, and go. His hand's still back here.
Bingo. So let the leaders lead.
Yes.
As best they can. Cool beans. Next one, kind of working off that count 4, is what we call an outside roll. The reason why I teach this is an outside roll. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Again, not taught a lot, but I think it's a good core position to understand. So leaders, it is a, I'm going to do it from this side, Miss Megan, I apologize, so they can see us. Leaders, this is right side pass footwork for us. So the follower's passing on my right side, so I can go back and cross, or back and together, let the follower pass. And again, let's have Megan break down the followers' footwork.
All right, so followers, when you're led into this, it's gonna feel somewhat like a whip, okay? So you're gonna go forward, back, okay? Instead of going forward, forward. So we have forward, back, we're going to step, turn, step, and then anchor around. So we're gonna do that again. We have forward, back, step, turn, step, anchor around. From this side, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6.
So in this video, we've covered so far 2 turns for the followers, an inside turn, outside turn. And in the next video, we're going to talk about 7 different techniques that people need to master. For the followers, spinning is one of them. So what we have to do to lead this, leaders, this is a little bit like a whip footwork. We lead forward for 1. We pick this hand up for 2 into what we call an outside turn grip. So that means my fingers are going the direction Megan's turning. So I have to turn my hand to where my fingers are going that direction. So I lead for count 1. As I lead her back for 2, there's a moment in time where she's in motion and I'm able to reset the hand. Now I go over and over for her head. Over, and then anchor, step. If we do it again from this side, 1, change the hand, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So for the followers, you have to master that footwork for the turn. And then if you're paying close attention, count 4 is the same from the sugar push and the outside turn. And this is another point where I think
The sugar tuck?
The sugar tuck. The sugar tuck and the outside turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the same position where we still have connection in the hand, where we can anchor with the leader initiating the direction. And again, as we get to count step 5 of this video, we can add a rock and go to the end of this to create some cool patterns. So pattern number 3 that you need to know to dance West Coast swing is the outside roll. Number 4 is the reverse whip. So we all know a basic whip. If you don't know a basic whip, look up our basic whip footwork, put in basic whip West Coast swing online. We got some great stuff. We'll teach you slowly and methodically. But the reverse whip, again, core footwork, the same as a basic whip for the leaders. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But keeping with our theme.
Different footwork for me.
Absolutely.
All right, so followers, for a regular whip, we are turning towards our leader. For a reverse whip, we are turning away from them, okay? So we are gonna have our 2 walks forward. So we walk forward, forward, and then we're gonna turn over our left shoulder for turn together. And then from here on, it's the same as a regular whip. Forward for 4, turn back for 5, step 6, 7, and 8. So we have 1, 2, turn 3, and 4, turn 5, step 6, 7, and 8.
That is a reverse whip. So leaders, I have to go into my skill set, my box of tools to lead 1. Then I give her a little bit of a prep. So I'm kind of shaping my turn, a little bit of a prep, like we talked about the inside turn, right? Where the hand moved a little bit this way to prep the follower. That's the same thing, not too far, but a little bit of a prep. 1, 2. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to dance this pattern, but what we're going to do is we're going to roll this hand inside our heads and pick up her back like our basic whip. 3 and. Then we're going to step across for 4, and the rest of this is basic whip stuff. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's do it one more time from this side. 1, we prep. 2, we're still connected in the hand. Again, key is I'm looking at my wristwatch so I can use my fingers to curl Megan around. 3 and she's connected in a way she doesn't step forward until I step across. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's do that from the other side. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Followers, this one's going to be, maybe from this side?
Yep.
Important that you're lifting your elbow just right up and over. So you'll be able to feel where their hand is on your back, so you have a relative idea of where their arm is. And then I'm just gonna, if we move this way just a little bit, I'm just gonna slip my elbow up and over.
Let's do it from this side, you can see well.
Yeah, I didn't pick well.
So 1, 2. So I'm going to be proactive as the leader and get my right hand on her as soon as possible. 3, and I'm going to get myself out of the way. The sooner I can touch her back, the sooner she's going to raise that elbow. Good basic rule. Let's talk about that arm. What not to do.
You don't want to lift your hands or lift too high with your elbow. That's why I'm kind of saying you're just going to skim right up and over, and your arm is going to stay pretty level.
And we see two things happen. Either number one, the follower leaves the arm down and gets trapped.
Yes, don't do that.
Awkward, at least safe for me, but awkward. And then the second one, probably less likely, is they freak out and they put this arm up to get it through. But if you keep this elbow out, and I'll say this for the followers, the fear
Out and
is
down.
that you're going to hit the leader by leaving that elbow out. But we are already this far away from you, so if you leave that elbow out, we're good to go. The worst thing that can happen, let's go from this side, the worst thing that can happen if you just leave the elbow out, right, not up and not a backhand, the worst thing that can happen is the leader gets popped in the chest. That's the absolute worst thing, and it won't happen twice, and we're tough, we can handle it. So that is the reverse whip. The final one, and this is kind of the fun one, is what we call a rock and go. So this is not a basic pattern as much as it's a concept, but it's an awesome concept to open up our pattern. So real quick, if we used let's do 2 sugar pushes. Actually, a sugar push and an inside turn. So we danced the basic sugar push, right? And then we danced an inside turn. We'd have 2 relatively basic 6-count patterns. However, if we used a rock and go instead of an anchor step, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, we've bypassed the anchor and made the pattern more advanced. So by definition, if we do it, again, we'll do it from this side. If we do using a sugar push as our basic workspace, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What's next for every pattern? An anchor step. Anchor step. However, if I allow Megan, we're on count 4 at this point. If I allow Megan to go rock and go, she is not now back anchored. She's jumped to count 2 of the next pattern, and she finishes with whatever. How about a turn?
Sorry.
A turn, anchor step. So let's do this. I'm going to put Miss Megan behind me.
Behind you?
Behind me, right? I'm going to do basic sugar push footwork as the follower. Megan's going to do the rock and go. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I anchor 5 and 6. And you can see Megan's forward on her left foot, right? Stay there for me, Miss Megan. If, as the follower, I danced 1, 2 of the next pattern, you can see we're now on the same foot. So a rock and go is something that you need to be aware of as the follower.
Yep, they're very fun. And if you kind of recognize it and kind of go with being connected to your partner, you're not going to miss them.
There you go. So the easiest way that we teach the rock and go, we have a full video on this. So if this is a new concept to you and you say, what is this rock and go? We've created the ultimate guide to rock and goes. So just put rock and go West Coast Swing Online there in YouTube, and you will find that video. It's an awesome video. We cover it from every possible angle. But one of the ones that we'll teach, I lied, I'm going to put you on this side. I don't know what the best side is. If we dance the whip, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, right? Normally we would have an anchor step. We can use a rock and go into another pattern, anchor step. So that is pattern number 5. If you want to know how to dance West Coast Swing, you need to know your 3 core basics. That's covered in another video. Your pushes, passes, and whips. We did that in the last video on this live workshop. Then from there, those are your 3 core. Everything's built off of that. As you could see, the leader's footwork stayed the same for a lot of these patterns. Followers, this is where you guys or gals need to learn a lot of different types of footwork, right? Which is why we covered this. Mastering your turns, the inside and outside turns, mastering the position of the sugar tuck, understanding a reverse whip and how that works, and then understanding that a rock and go is possible will give you a good shot. That's how the leader's fingers work inside the cup of the hand. And we'll cozy up to the video a little bit. Is this cozied pretty well? So typically speaking, the follower's hand is curved around, right? The leader's hand is underneath. Now you can use all of your fingers. The typical way for West Coast Swing is to remove that index finger right there. So in essence, I'm connecting with these 2 fingers. If I had big hands, please forgive me, I'd be using the middle finger. I will not show you what that looks like, but I have smaller hands, so I use these 2 fingers connected there. So we have a drill we call baby steps, which is how to practice the arms and hands without doing patterns. So if I'm practicing an inside turn where the hand comes inside, I would turn this hand over, I would rotate my hand within the cup. We call this cup and pin. So Megan's hand is the cup, I am the pin, and I can rotate my hand so the back of my hand is this direction and my fingers are going that direction, and I can rotate her around. So the inside turn or inside rotation where the hand goes this way, that would be an inside turn, a right side pass, a reverse whip, is a natural kind of arm movement because the hand never needs to ungrip. It just stays there. If you notice, I'm rotating my hand. So that's the drill to practice the inside turn. The outside turn requires a flip, or it's a two-step process. I have to raise the hand, and then in a split second, I have to change my fingers. So Megan still, in essence, creates that cup, right? She still creates that cup. I raise the hand and then flip inside of that. And she has to allow for that, meaning no thumbs. If you grip with a thumb, you are completely limiting what we can do. We can do some sugar pushes and some left side passes, but we cannot rotate. So the follower needs to not grip with the thumb, so she has to be relaxed with the hand so I can grip an outside turn. Now I lead the outside turn. So that's the hand grip that's happening on the sugar push or the outside roll, which is why I cover these. That's a great question because this is a tricky skill that you need to learn for West Coast. If we're doing the sugar tuck, 1, 2, boom. So if I did this slow motion, right, really slow, I'm initiating. I'm getting the hand ready. Then I'm leading the rest of the move. Does that make sense? I'm doing that all seamlessly, but there's an initiation. She's on the way. I have a split second. I'm not letting go of that grip, but I'm changing the hand to that outside grip. 3 and 4, 5 and 6. The same thing happens on the outside roll, right? I lead and I'm worried about resetting that grip. That's the outside turn or outside roll grip. My fingers are going the direction that she's traveling. And there is the outside turn. That's cool beans. If you guys got a free gift for you for making it this far in the video, it's our West Coast Swing ebook. It's totally free. 200 tips and tricks to help you improve your West Coast swing from beginner and beyond. And if you're just interested in seeing what moves might be next, we created this video right here. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long. It's our intermediate moves list. Take a peek.